The city of Seattle had always been a mix of rain and dreams. For Emma Johnson, a 24-year-old literature graduate, it was both the city she loved and the city where her heart was broken. She had moved from Portland after college, hoping to build a life filled with books, coffee shop afternoons, and a love story she could trust. But life rarely followed the script she had written in her head. Emma met Ryan Carter 2 years ago in a small bookstore tucked inside Pike Place Market. She was searching for a rare edition of a poetry book, and he happened to be working there part-time while finishing his business degree. Their conversation began with books but quickly grew into laughter, long walks around the waterfront, and late-night phone calls that stretched until morning. Ryan had a charm that felt effortless. His hazel eyes always seemed to carry both warmth and secrets. His smile could disarm anyone, and his words flowed like poetry Emma always longed to hear. For Emma, Ryan was not just a boyfriend. He was the one she trusted with her deepest dreams, her fears, and the kind of silence that didn't feel uncomfortable. They shared weekends exploring coffee shops, evenings cooking pasta together in her tiny apartment, and promises whispered under the Seattle rain. Emma believed those promises. But promises sometimes fade faster than raindrops on glass. It started with small changes. Ryan became distant, his texts delayed, his calls shorter. He often claimed he was busy with work or helping a friend. Emma, always patient, tried to trust him, reminding herself that relationships had ups and downs. But deep inside, a quiet storm of doubt had begun. One Friday evening, Emma prepared Ryan's favorite dinner, creamy pasta with garlic bread and a homemade chocolate cake. She lit candles and played his favorite jazz playlist. But hours passed, and Ryan never showed up. Her calls went unanswered. Her texts remained unread. She sat by the window, watching the rain blur the city lights, wondering if she was waiting for someone who was no longer hers. The next morning, Ryan appeared at her door, flowers in hand and excuses on his lips. He spoke of work emergencies, his tired eyes pleading for understanding. Emma wanted to believe him, she always did. She hugged him tightly, her heart whispering forgiveness, while her mind screamed questions. But then came the moment that changed everything. A week later, Emma was meeting her best friend, Chloe, at a downtown cafe. As she sipped her latte, her eyes drifted across the street and froze. Ryan stood there, under a bright red umbrella, laughing with another girl. She wasn't just a friend. The way his hand lingered on the girl's arm, the way their bodies leaned closer, told Emma the truth her heart didn't want to accept. Her chest tightened, her hands trembled, and the world around her blurred. Chloe followed her gaze, her eyes widening. "Emma," she whispered softly, but Emma had already stood up, her legs carrying her outside, across the street, through the rain that felt heavier with every step. "Ryan," she called, her voice breaking. Ryan's smile faded the moment he saw her. The girl by his side stepped back, her expression caught between guilt and surprise. For a long second, silence weighed heavier than words. Then Ryan began, "Emma, it's not what you think." But Emma's heart had already shattered. Her voice cracked as she spoke. "I trusted you. Every word, every promise, every late-night story. You broke it all." Ryan reached for her hand, but she pulled away, tears streaming down her cheeks. The city seemed to pause, the rain falling harder as if the sky itself shared her grief. She turned and walked away, her steps firm even as her soul ached. That night, Emma sat alone in her apartment, staring at the half-finished painting on her easel. It was a picture she had started weeks ago, a rainy street in Seattle, with two figures under one umbrella. She picked up the brush, but her hands refused to continue. Instead, she painted over the second figure, leaving only one. For the first time, she realized she had to learn to walk alone. Days turned into weeks, and though the pain lingered, Emma began to find strength in places she had forgotten. She read more books, spent hours painting, took long walks along the waterfront, and discovered new coffee shops with Chloe by her side. She started writing again, short stories filled with heartbreak, resilience, and hope. Ryan tried to call, to explain, but Emma never answered. She had heard enough lies, seen enough truth, and felt enough pain to know she deserved more. Months later, as the sun finally broke through Seattle's endless rain, Emma stood at a small gallery where her paintings were displayed. People admired her work, her story told in colors and brushstrokes. One painting stood out, the rainy street with a single figure holding an umbrella. Beneath it, Emma had written the title, Stronger Alone. As she looked at her own work, Emma smiled. Not a smile of denial or forced strength, but a genuine one. She realized that sometimes love stories don't end with forever. Sometimes they end with lessons, growth, and the courage to begin again. Seattle still rained, but Emma had learned how to dance beneath it, no longer waiting for someone else to hold the